my goodness, is this one heck of a powerful partnership.
Astrologically, the solstice is all about light. Everything's evolving and the energy is huge beyond the astrology as well.
Hello, my name is Lucy Davis and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am so excited that this beautiful being of light reached out to me yesterday and said, Lucy, we need to do a video. Now, it's fair to say we've been talking about doing another video since the last video, but we've both kind of gone off and been busy and, I've been wondering, and I'm sure you've been doing magical things with your family. And so it was really beautiful yesterday. And I said this to you, like your intuitive pull to just reach out was divinely perfect, divinely orchestrated. And here we are, both of us, I've got goosebumps saying this, both of us have been able to free up a little bit of time in our diaries today, which we didn't think we'd be able to do until later on in the week. So, babe, Stella Grace, welcome back. It is so good to see you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's always absolutely lush and such a high vibe to talk to you, Lucy. Like I was saying yesterday, wasn't I? Even us doing the voice recordings to arrange this meeting, I was like, my energy was getting higher and higher and higher just talking to you on voice notes. So I just buzz when I talk to you. I love it. So I'm really excited for this.
Oh, I love it as well, babe. And you are looking nice and healthy. You've got some colour on your skin and...
Thank you. Yay, summer arrived over here in the UK. Thank goodness.
At last, the UK has some sunshine. So I'm really, really happy to hear that. How's things generally? Are you good?
Really good. Yeah, like you say about trying to find the window. So I've been busily writing my book and enjoying my babies as well. So yeah, it's all go this end. Just really excited about the creative energy. I know that's one of the things we're going to cover today. I'm definitely feeling that. The astrology is wild as ever. The energy is wild as ever. Looking forward to getting into it. Absolutely.
Amazing stuff. And your children are well?
They're really good, thank you. Yeah, we're enjoying the summer. We're grateful for the sun. Life is good.
Amazing. Oh, that's so good to hear. Really, really good to hear. So let's get going. So today's video is going to be very much about the partnership between solstice and the full moon. We were going to do a video on solstice, and when we started talking, I was like, yeah, but it's this partnership, and you were like, yeah, absolutely, I see it like this. Like, let's go there. So this is, for those of you that haven't seen, I put my full moon video out on Monday the 17th of June. So please do go and check that out. That's going to be a much more detailed view of what we are speaking about here. And no doubt Stella Grace has obviously got some content somewhere on her newsletter or whatever that goes into information about this. So please do go and check out those two sources. But today, what we're going to do, I've basically cherry picked a few different areas, a bit like when we last met. Key areas that I feel are really, really important for this solstice new moon partnership, full moon partnership. And what we're going to do, and I know, Stella, you've done the same, so you're just going to bring and weave in a few areas that you found as well. So I've got 3 post-it notes in front of me with maybe 4 or 5 different areas. And I want to start with one, and then I want to kind of go to more of the lower vibration that's coming through with this moon, that more of the traumatic and we got to get real and look at ourselves. But I want to start with something because it's very much what I was told was the solstice energy. And I think bearing that in mind, we should probably look at that first. So solstice is the 20th of June. We've got full moon spanning over the 21st, 22nd, depending on where you are around the world. So it is like this. Like we're literally in bed together over the next few days. And my goodness, is this one heck of a powerful partnership. Do you see that as the same, Stella, to start off with?
Yeah, 100%. Like these two, it can't be separated at this time. We don't always have a full moon on solstice. We don't always have, a significant moon phase on solstice. So absolutely, these two want to be showing up together. It's a real hookup energy here they've got going on. And the synergy is, it's got its own force as well. The synergy of the two together.
and the terminology that you use there, hookup, is something that is vibrant through June, right? It's been vibrant through the new moon. It is so vibrant through this solstice and full moon. And I don't mean sex when I say hook up, ladies and gents. Like I'm talking about real connections and, clearing the way for these powerful connections. So without further ado, my darling girl, let's look at the solstice energy. So just to remind you guys, obviously I channel information. I don't know anything. I don't profess to know anything about the astrology. However, Stella does know about the astrology. So she can actually put and talk into planetary terms the stuff that I just channel. I do believe that we're very aligned. I do believe that we get a lot of the same stuff. Obviously there's different versions as well, but I do believe that we're very aligned with this. And what I call channeling is what you can actually normalize through the planets and actually make some sort of sense of it. So I love this partnership when we do this. I really, really do. Okay, so the first thing that I wrote down was we are really, really shining a light for Solstice. Like, we have got to come online, shine the light, and allow our creativity to come through and like inject that into life. Now, obviously, we've all got our different gifts and we've all got our different paths, and we'll all shine differently to different people. Like, there are people out there that do not like me, like the same with you, Stella. There will be people out there that love us. You know, we have to shine for those that do love us and allow those that don't to just go and find the person that activates them and inspires them to shine. Okay, this is what's very important right now. We're not here for absolutely everybody. We're here to shine the light and bring our injection of creativity to the party. And along with this, the language that they gave me was, this is how we're going to create magical projects. So how do you feel with that and those beautiful words that they gave me?
Yeah, I absolutely love that, Lucy. And it's so key. I mean, for me, astrologically, the solstice is all about light, data, you know, cosmic data, universal data. To me, light is data. You know, we're getting that huge download of the highest vibration, you know, depending on where you are in the world. But over here in the northern hemisphere, we're getting a huge influx of light, i.e. data, i.e. evolution, i.e. nourishment, all of these really high vibrational direct sources, you know, from the source that enable us to evolve, grow, shine. So absolutely, it's a key time for it. And then I think, you know, astrology being one, as you said, one concept that we can kind of understand rationally around that. Yeah, I've got my head around to a degree, but always learning. And astrology as a topic is huge. And, you know, you can learn for a lifetime, probably more, on astrology itself. But also that being, you know, a concept that we can, a linear concept we can understand as best we can as humans. Like my understanding is that universally, everything's evolving and the energy is huge beyond the astrology as well. So, you know, in terms of our evolutionary point on the planet at this time, like massive. And for everything you've said as well, you know, that influx and the creativity and shining for our tribe, like also aligned with the astrology and the energy, how it feels. Absolutely. So in years gone by, generally solstices are about that celebration of the light, celebration of, you know, the increased daytime hours in this hemisphere, celebration of the goddess, lots of different things around that kind of more those traditional rituals and meanings. But for me, it is ultimately about the light and evolving.
Yeah, and for me this time around it feels very different. It's almost like, do you remember the Care Bears when we were little? They used to do that Care Bear stare. Like, that's kind of where I see us right now. We're whatever's in our heart, we've got to shine outwards so that we give the memo, a bit like you know, Batman does, like lets people know that, you know, Batman's there. We're putting our imprint out there saying, hey, we're here. The others that this resonates with, come find me. And to the point that you were just saying a minute ago, like, this is about communities. This is about coming together, finding your tribe, really, really leaning into each other, kind of like holding hands and going, right, let's do this. Let's create the magic. Let's create the world that we actually choose to live in right now. And just as a bit of a side note to this, I think this is a very important time to make sure you are around people that are on the same mission as you. Do not do things out of ego. Do not do things for followers. Do not do things for money. Do not do things because it might be good for business. Like, in my opinion, that is very inauthentic. It's very material, and you are going to get stung.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a ruler on the knuckles.
Interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Wrapping the knuckles, like good old-fashioned schooling kind of. I mean, thank God it didn't happen in my age. I probably would have punched someone in the face if they did that to me. But, you know, that's what they're showing me. They're kind of like showing a wrap on the knuckles taking place for not being authentic. Now, if you are a money grabber, obviously it's authentic for you to be a money grabber. You'll get your karma in other ways. And this is the way that I'm looking at it at the moment is, I'm trusting that karma is treating everybody with the same level of respect.
Yeah, I love that.
Saying, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to allow karma to resolve this respect, like whatever needs to be done. And I'm trusting, you know, because there are so many people out there at the moment. And it's a point that I want to go to next, actually. Have you finished with the light and the creativity, or is there anything else you wanted to add, babe?
Yeah, we'll come on. I think we're going to come on to self-love within that, aren't we? In a minute. I think perhaps that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, I think we need to, because it's very, very important. I just felt it led quite nicely with what I was just saying then into this whole new like layer of delusion and ego being brought to the surface. So like I was saying, you know, if you are in a space of doing something because I might be able to get something out of this, or you are a user, please know that there is a new level of this, because the light is going to be shining so much more. We obviously need the polarity of that, the gaslighting, the delusion, the wearing of the masks. But the beautiful thing about this is, under this solstice / full moon, the truth is coming to the surface. I mean, it has been so wild the last few months, the amount of truth coming up about medical, about governmental, politics, finances, education, you name it, every single area, food, water, you name it, everything. Like, the truth is coming up about people. And I'm not just talking about famous people, I'm talking about the person you go to bed with. I'm talking about the person that you watch on the TV screen. I'm talking about the person that you watch on social media that's led you through the last few years. Like, I'm talking about all of this. The face masks are coming off because they cannot be held on anymore. And there is nowhere to hide from this. So as much as we've got the beautiful light shining, which is why I wanted to go here next, so that we can finish and we can make sure that we end on a real high and a real beautiful vibration, rather than this, like, the truth about people is about to be found out. How does that sit with you?
Yeah, for sure. Interestingly, again, using astrology as one of the tools to kind of understand some of these energetic developments, if you like, is really interesting, because we've got Neptune in Pisces. Now, Neptune in Pisces is like, it's a bit of a dissolver. So if we think about where Neptune kind of dissolves through a sign, and we've got Neptune in Pisces, which is the sign of the collective. So we've got this real, Neptune's all about taking off the rose tinted glasses. It can be ideals, it's smokescreen, it's illusion, it's all of that. And Neptune in Pisces, which is also the sign that it rules, it's in its own the planet's in its own ruling sign, which is like a really kind of more of a significant feel, adds power to it, for sure. It heightens it. So we've got this dissolving away happening through the collective, which is really interesting, because from an evolutionary point of view, which I love, of how we're all this global network, as you touched on, we're finding our tribe, and we're sticking together as, you know, as much as we can as a global community. We're seeing these big patches of, as you say, mistruths, delusion, negativity, where the smoke screens are, where things have been tried to be pulled over our eyes, all of that. And this is this process of this dissolving, of this coming out, like you say, things coming to light. So the solstice is kind of like a short-term kind of event, like a short-term kind of piece of evolutionary work, if you like, the energies over that time. And then we've got this long-term stuff.
That's like a beam of light. So solstice itself,
yeah,
is real beautiful. Let's just beacon the light out, you know, and just allow this to shine. But very quickly we step into these other energies of the polarity, basically, right?
Absolutely. And they're kind of rumbling away in the background for some time. So we've got that kind of happening for like over a couple of year period. And then in a much bigger sense, we've got for the next kind of 20 years, we've got Pluto in Aquarius, which is all about restructuring our power systems. So it's an amazing, we've got short and long term examples of all this in astrology. So it's really, really kind of significant key times. And like the self-care as well, which we're going to come on to in a bit, we've got the short and the long term examples of that as well, but it's fascinating stuff. So we've got this restructuring of all our systems. And like you say, there's been a lot of truth coming out, and that will continue in significant ways over the next 20 years. We're going to see loads of really big shifts in our lifetimes, though, which I find that super exciting. So it's for us as well as the next generation. It's huge.
It's really hotting up, though, isn't it? You know, like, it's really hotting up. And people that are going back rather than going forwards, I actually feel are going to get penalized. Like, I don't know how. I almost see like their health is going to be hit, or their I don't know whether their pockets are going to be hit, or something of value to them is going to be stripped from them. I guess that's the best way for me to say it. So let's say, for example, you really value the way that you look, you will have impacts to the way that you look so that you get the memo. If you are somebody who's obsessed with money, like, you are going to be losing the money for you to get the memo. And it's just gentle nudges from the universe letting you know that you are, you're going off your path.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Saturn is our ruler of responsibilities and long-term lessons and learning, and making sure we're kind of in line with boundaries, really. Now, healthy and loving boundaries, but boundaries nonetheless. And I think you're right. It's about our learning, and we need to be, all with the purpose of growing, of evolution. So we are going to need to be taught. And if we don't listen, or if we're going to leave it to the universe to show us rather than do this work consciously, then be prepared to have, punched in the face kind of level. It's going to have to be that big.
It's funny that you say this, Stella, because just as we were talking then, I was like, oh my goodness gracious me. So recently I've taken a backward step in a direction because I thought it was the right thing to do. And I don't know if you know this, Stella, but on Friday, I actually ended up having to have a whole heap of tests run on my body because my health, and I'm like, I know the energetics behind why it's happened, and I've just got the memo. You step back into something that you weren't supposed to step back into because you thought it was the right thing to do. So the universe has gently guided you back. And of course, I was ignorant to it for a little while. I was like, oh, it'll be all right, it'll be all right, it'll be all right. And then, of course, you get to the point and you're like, actually, no. And just yesterday, I put some very strong boundaries in place. So this is literally tick, tick, tick. Ladies and gents, please hear what we're saying here because it's not nice.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got to play ball, really. And we know these things. It's like you say, we know these things. But I've had something similar recently as well with different circumstances. I'm racing around. I'm really driven at the moment. I'm doing all this beautiful creative work, but I haven't always been listening to the memo of taking the slow down time for myself. And I know this stuff. I teach this stuff. I'm writing a book about this stuff. But for me, I still didn't get the memo the other day about doing the self-care. So I hear you, and we're in it together, aren't we? We're on the journey evolving too.
And exactly, we all are. We're all on this journey together. Like, some people say to me, but Lucy, you're an expert. I never call myself an expert. I don't profess to be an expert. I'm literally teaching as I go along. I'm like, okay, right now, of course, I'm probably more evolved than a lot of people that follow me, because they're like, oh, wow, she's been able to achieve what I want to achieve, so I'm going to follow her. Like, it's just by the nature of the beast. But I am nowhere near finished. Like, I have got the whole of my lifetime to evolve yet. And anybody that's in a space of ignorance and not recognizing that they are a work in progress, they are exactly that. It's ignorance, it's arrogance. And actually, this is what we go back to with the ego and the face masks. You have to be open to recognizing that you are part of the problem.
Yeah. And actually, there's something really beautiful, I think, in doing so, because then when we're showing up authentically with our humanness, with our evolving, with our messy bits, we're also giving others permission to do the same. And I love that. And that was a real deal breaker, a game changer for me a little while ago, realizing that because I was such a perfectionist, striving for being perfect, trying to people please, doing all of that stuff. And actually, that doesn't leave anyone else around you able to kind of make mistakes and be human as well. Even though I wouldn't have judged them for it, I'd be my own harshest judge. But actually, we're all in this messy business together and growing for our whole lives.
Exactly. It's just wild, isn't it? It's just wild what's going on at the moment. So I think let's leave the heaviness there. I think people will get the memo from that. Like, it's time to buck our ideas up. Very long story short, time for us to buck our ideas up. Be authentic, be the real you, because it's going to be shown anyway. So stop kidding people, stop doing things for underhand reasons, and really, really step towards the light. Like, stop pretending that you're, oh, I'm in the light and I'm this and I'm love and light brigade. No, be honest with yourself, because otherwise you are going to get the healing journey. So let's step next into the self-care and the self-love, which we were talking about. So this is a massive thread in this energy partnership. I am going to come back to love in a minute, like literal love, new connections, things like that. But like love for self is a big deal in this partnership, isn't it? Like this hookup thing, we've got to look after ourselves before we can hook up with any of the other things that are going on. How does that land with you?
Yeah, absolutely, 100 million% on this one. And this is another one where we've got this example of this universal energy is so prevalent for this, like generally at the moment, but again, at this time, significantly and specifically as well, because we're approaching with the solstice the beginning of Cancer season, and this full moon, so this hookup. So we've got the solstice energy, which is always on the first cusp of Cancer season, which is all about nourishment, self-care, going within to really nourish, and then that spills out onto your loved ones. So it's that beautiful ripple effect. But particularly with this weekend, with this hookup, we've also got the full moon is in Capricorn, which is about that polarity, again, a polarity energy here of responsibility to others. So we've got this really big illumination, big broad beam of light being shone on this polarity between self-love, self-nourishment, and our responsibility to others. This has to be, if you're not already, in balance within your life, because otherwise it's going to be it's being really shown at the moment to where we're out of whack, where we need to love on the self, literally love on, love in, love the self so deeply at this moment. And that's not to say we're cutting off our responsibilities to others. It's saying to make sure that they're in a balance.
Yeah. And I love that you say that, because over the last weekend that's just been gone, obviously Friday I had to go for a whole heap of tests, blood tests, all sorts of different things. And I made that call, right, that's it. I'm doing nothing this weekend other than, I had a commitment Friday evening, but I was picked up, I was driven, I didn't have to walk anywhere. I didn't go to the gym, I didn't do any of that stuff. It was very much about walking on the beach, grounding, sitting, being with people that love and care about me, that could nourish me like I could nourish them, taking time to be isolated on my own. And I actually spoke to maybe 3 or 4 of my best girlfriends, and they were all doing the same. Luckily their kids are a little bit older, so they've been able to take that time to themselves or whatever. And it's been a real thread of, at least with the women, I can't say for the men, because the men seem to, I'm not sure if the men are quite feeling the energies like we are at the moment, because they certainly seem a lot more busy, and whether that's because they're distracting and they're avoiding because they don't want to feel, I'm not too sure. But the women definitely were very much, I've got to take this time for myself, I've got to be still, I've got to feel, I've got to be present right now.
Yeah, 100%. And again, I think it's one of those things that going to be really shown and really kind of feeling I want to almost say the wrath of, it just feels that strong of, it's going to be so out of alignment when we don't do that.
Yeah.
The memos are going to get louder, and it will be really out of whack. So important to love on the deep nourishment. It's almost like the depth. If we can imagine self-care and then ham it up, it's kind of imagining. I'm going to give a really kind of small example now, but if you think, if I don't know what the listeners' level of self-care is like, some of us might be better at it, some of us might be doing loads of different stuff. But say, for example, let's take that nice hot bath at the end of the day. Rather than just the hot bath, let's bring in the candles, the rose petals, the favorite music, the dim lighting. So what I'm trying to get at is, we're doing it but on steroids. So it's like really kind of building in that space and time and connection to self, as if you were doing it for one of your loved ones, because we can tend to make more of an effort for a partner, or make sure our children have everything that they need, when actually we're being called to do that first. That will also spill out beautifully, energetically, in terms of love vibration onto others.
For sure. I'm going to share something that one of my friends shared with me yesterday. He always says this to me, and he's like, Lucy, in Jordan Peterson's book, one of the stages of basically, looking after yourself is treat yourself the way that you would treat your pet. And it's true, right? And he actually refers to it as the dog, but it's so true. My friend is a good example. He would get up and give his dog meds in the middle of the night if he needed to. He won't even remember to take his supplements, that kind of thing. And I actually think is a really, really beautiful, profound way, like whether it be your child or your pet or whatever, like treat yourself like that, because then your child will witness that behavior and mirror that. And then by default, they've got a better head start than we ever had. You know, and it's very important because, you know, I can speak certainly for myself, and I'm sure many of my followers watching this will agree, but the physical vessel is struggling right now. Like we are struggling to maintain this vessel in this high frequency. Like we're not used to it. So, you know, people are off their food right now, people are putting on weight right now, people's hair are falling out right now, their nails are breaking, their eyesight's going funny, they need glasses, all sorts of weird and wonderful things are happening because we physically don't know how to live in this vibration. So of course, by taking the advice that Stella is giving here and upping your self-care, upping your self-love, popping it on steroids, so whatever you're doing, like amplify that, this is by default going to help the physical vessel. And that's what I truly believe. Like everybody said to me on Monday, my God, where have you been? Like it looks like you've just had a week in, you know, the Caribbean or something, because I spent 2 hours on the beach the day before, like literally 2 hours, and I'd been present and I'd been still and I'd had my feet in the sand and I'd been swimming in the ocean. And, you know, my hair looked like a mess. It was all mermaidy, you know, but everybody was like, you look amazing for it. And, you know, no makeup on or anything. And that's the point right now. It's about saying, body, what do you need? Right, guide me. Be intuitive, allow these intuitive pulls to take place. And that might be going to the forest, it might be going to the beach, it might be going like wherever that you know, your safe space is, to go and allow your body to heal. But listen, we've got to stop this push culture.
Yeah, 100%. And something that I don't know about you, Lucy, if you've had this kind of drop in, but something that's been really hand in hand for me with the self-care stuff is the mental rhetoric. So the physical aspect of, like you say, holding these vibrations and growing through them, and the impact on the physical vessel, but also how we're speaking to ourselves. Like that has been massive for me the last couple of weeks. I did a video a couple of weeks ago on my YouTube channel. Are our thoughts loving? Because there was so much Gemini energy going on as well with all our communication, our mental stuff, but some really specific points to our mental rhetoric. And I still feel like that is like a universal thing as well, of how we self-care, how we're talking to ourselves, you know, how much criticism are we bringing in, how much self-belief do we have, you know, all of these things that are impacting on our physical vessel as well. It's huge.
Yeah, and I you know, that Gemini energy is literally Jekyll and Hyde. You know, that's the best way for me to describe it. It is literally Jekyll and Hyde. It's like you're having an internal boxing match. And what was funny is I was doing some cards with one of my girlfriends over the weekend, and the card that I pulled to represent myself had the devil and the angel, and it was like the morals in between, but they demonstrated the devil one side and the angel. That to me is Gemini energy. You know, it's this internal battle, it's like this conflict, it's about, you know, just taking that moment to breathe through it and just say, you know, this isn't true. And I truly believe in it, you know, just to validate what you're saying, Stella. You know, I've been saying a lot recently, God, I'm tired, I'm looking forward to some time out. So of course my blood has gone, right, let's deplete everything. So she has to sit still and she has to recoup and she has to take the time to be still. Like the universe, source, God, whatever you want to call it, has given me everything I've asked for. So speaking to yourself beautifully and lovingly is exactly the right way. And I know better than this. This is a massive part of my program, you know, so I know better. But sometimes the human, under pressure, distracted, being pushed from pillar to post, all by design, gives into that, it's not even negative self-talk, but it's just not positive, it's not loving, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And also, as we know, you know, we talk about instant manifestation and all of that energy that we've got access to now in these higher frequencies. You know, it's just incredible. We can have these thoughts and do these things, and where, hey, funny enough, it's shown up in our field. It's like,
yeah,
well,
like
you know,
instantly. It's like it doesn't even take a second anymore. It's like, oh wow, I literally just spoke about you. Thank you so much for being here. You know,
yeah.
you have to be
Which
very
is,
careful.
we really do. And it's also, we have to be careful. And it's also a beautiful reminder of our power as creators, co-creators with the universe. Like we can recognize these things. And this is something I'm really passionate about as well, is like we can have a look at all our areas of adversity and, you know, all again, the polarity, look at the heavier stuff and use it as a gift and a tool to bring in the other end of the polarity. So, you know, it's not about shying away from these things. If there has been difficult self-talk or there has been difficult circumstances or whatever, let's use that for the alchemy process to get to the gold.
Exactly. And really lean into it. And, you know, don't pretend that it's not happening. Lean into it and learn from it and be like, right, how can I use this to my advantage now? Yeah, love that. So moving on to one of my favorite subjects, everybody knows where this is going now, love, right? So the energy that's coming through massively for me, and I get so excited by it, is like love, new connections, lots of joy, lots of laughter, lots of fun. And, you know, what I'm being shown is literally this, getting rid of all the old connections that do not work, they do not resonate with you. And God, source, whatever you believe in, is literally kicking them out of the way, although it hurts. And you're like, I don't want that to happen. The more you cling on, the more you're going to get burnt. So it's happening so quickly now. And I'm actually, for one, very excited with the fact that we do have these new connections coming in. And, you know, I've got some of the fiercest friendships coming in that I could possibly imagine. I've got, you know, in the last maybe month, I've met some men that are like soul brothers. You know, I feel like I've got this whole new army around me, and it's like, wow. And I think that, you know, although I'm calling it love connections, I mean, it could be on an intimate level if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you're, you know, what you're allowing at the moment. But it could also be these really, really fierce connections from a soul love perspective. So friends, best friends, soul brothers and sisters. What's your feels on that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we've got this beautiful theme carrying over from June. As we've been saying, like June, there was really fresh energy around the connections. Lots of, yeah, the hookup energy and it's just riding along still, isn't it? We're just like going to take that into
Oh boy,
July,
is it?
and
Mate,
it's really nice.
honestly, I've got so many stories from this month where I've literally landed at an airport and I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's like fresh meat, you know, it's wild.
I love that. It's fun. It's definitely fun energy. But what's really nice as well is I think, as you're saying, like for me, the Gemini stuff that started earlier in June was a bit more kind of surface level. Like flirty was a bit more surface level, and Venus was there kind of bringing that touch of beauty and love and harmony. But I feel like as it goes on, it's deepening. So as we're getting to the solstice, as we're getting into Cancer season, I feel like the love element, like you say, the hookup is going to a deeper level. That those love connections, like you say, on any level in partners, connections, relationships, however they look, a deeper level, definitely.
Yeah, and I love that because, you know, there's so many people that message me and they're like, but Lucy, you're talking about new love connections. I'm so happy with mine. I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. It's going to go deeper. Like if you are lucky enough to be with the person that you are, you know, you've risen in love with and you're so happy with, like now imagine that amplified. You know, and I'm
Yes.
witnessing it. I've got some people around me who are so happy. They're so, you know, and their relationships are blooming in a way. And I'm like, wow, I never thought this was possible. This to me is what New Earth is about. This is about really surrendering and it's about, you know, stopping those relationships that you're butting heads with. Like we're human, yeah, we argue, we're going to have differences of opinions, there is going to be bickering, but it's about recognizing, you know what, like I actually love you enough to walk away from this situation because I don't want to be butting heads with you anymore. I don't want to be constantly challenged and whatever. But also on the other side of that, where if you're in a space of knowing that there's a little bit of niggles from time to time, but generally you are really happy. Like now imagine that amplified. And I think it's a very, very important point that you raise. Everything is going deeper.
Yeah, for sure. And I think where there's more of the butting heads, that will be showing where things are out of alignment. And that can be, you know, like friendships or whatever that you mentioned, there are some things that will go and that can feel sad, but it's to make space for these deeper, more meaningful, truthful, more aligned connections. So whenever I always like to think of it, because it's hard when we go through it, when things change or end, isn't it? But I like to try and remember that whenever anything goes, it's making space for something that is more aligned and more connected and deeper, and of a, you know, the vibration that's going to serve both parties in that connection. So
And also, you know, the vibration that's going to serve humanity. And I really
absolutely.
believe this, you know, like, okay, we're all God's angels, but there's certain people on the planet that have been given quite important missions this lifetime. We're all important, please don't get me wrong, but there are certain people that have been given very, very, very important roles. And I truly believe that they are going to be rewarded if they haven't already with the most powerful connection. And if you are settling, whether you like it or not, that settling is going to be moved. This is not the lifetime where we are allowed to settle.
No. It, like you said before, it'd be shown like that. The settling energy would be shown with, you know, conflict, things just not working, like the butting heads. It just won't work.
And it's, if that happens, like, you've got to listen, you know, because people, what I've realized, or at least what I've been being told quite a lot, is that people are making quite rash decisions right now, and then a week later they're going, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and the other person's like, you know what, you're going to treat me like that? No, you're done. Like, I'm done with it. I'm not standing for that. And it's really taking this whole, don't, like, we can sit down and speak about something, but don't throw the towel in and then expect me to still be waiting for you a week later, because it's this old push-pull culture, which we're actually disbanding. We're actually going through the process of disbanding that, because we're ready for the conscious relationships. Like, everybody's out there going, I want a conscious relationship. Well, then you need to be shown what's unconscious in yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and
Yeah,
I love this. It's so powerful what's happening right now. And, you know, for
so powerful.
me, because I'm here to be a communicator this lifetime, but my soul contract, literally, I'm here for relationships.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God. I had a soul contract reading of maybe 2 months ago. I got all of my numbers. Then I had the proper reading only a few weeks ago. And oh my God, is it the truth about me? Like, my jaw was on the ground, Stella. Like, literally, I'm a multidimensional mirror, and I'm here for relationships. And I'm like, oh God, why did I sign up for this? Because it's the truth. You know, but it's, when I talk about relationships, it's about partnerships, friendships, working as a team, but also intimate relationships. It's mastering that intimate relationship, you know, your boundaries, like unlocking the heartbreak that you've had in previous lifetime. Like, it's wild, and it's just so on point.
Wow, I love that. And would you say, in that, just a digress question slightly,
Right.
every time I think about relationships and doing the work with the relationships and all that kind of thing, it always comes back to self first, doesn't it? Like, you know, for example, like, again, thinking about one of the many themes that we've talked about and that are going on, mental rhetoric. So if we're thinking and feeling that we're not going to get that love, is that's ultimately because we are not giving ourselves this love, which is why the kind of hamming it up bit comes in. And if we're thinking others are going to judge us, where are we judging ourselves? You know, it's that kind of key stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, what's been really funny is, so I run a program called Self Love Club, and basically it's a program that goes, it's been 12 months until this year. In September, it's going to be a 9-month program. And in that program, I very much talk about all different areas, but one of the areas is relationships. And so when I got the memo about relationships, and I'm like, okay, so I had to master the relationship with myself to be able to master the relationships with other people. Now, I truly believe I've done that, apart from intimate relationships. That's the final one. I've mastered the relationship with my parents now, which was not easy back in the day. The relationship with myself was dire. It was non-existent. I didn't care about myself. I sabotaged myself. And the relationships with my friends, I was always one of these people who could pop around and just make new people. So I didn't really need to nurture, like, holding on to friends through my whole life, because I always just made more. And whenever I went home, like, my old friends would still be there. So I never really had to work at that. But now I've got the best friends. Doesn't matter where I go, we're solid. I've got the best relationship with my parents. I've got the best relationship with my soul brothers and sisters, my business and everything. So it's just the intimate that I'm working on continually, because actually this is where the gold is. And I was laughing about it, because I was like, oh my God, I finally got the memo. And they were like, your program that you channeled 5 years ago is exactly what you've just found out in your soul contract. How have you not seen that for 5 years? And I'm like, yeah, all right. I'm a bit of a slow learner.
But that's the thing, it's easier for us to do it for helping other people, though, isn't it? Isn't that the truth?
Absolutely, babe. Absolutely. So it's been a wild time. Now, the last thing that I want to cover off, now I know there's so many other things we could go into for solstice and the full moon, but the last thing that I want to cover off, and I don't know where you sit with this, but this is a big deal for me, and it has been for the last couple of months, is I keep being told, watch the water. You've got to continue to watch the water. Astrologically, is there anything that would validate or back up the fact that I keep saying to people, keep your eyes on the water?
Well, you know, technically it could be this Neptune in Pisces, because that is all the water. And again, water for the collective. It's all like global water. But I've got the water thing going on as well. I'll just very quickly tell you a story about our little sunny fishing village, Brixham, that I'm in, tiny little dot on the map. And we've just had a national story, a scare that we had some pipe valve thing got it burst, whatever, I don't even know, but and our area in this tiny little town made national news because loads of people got sick. You know, we couldn't drink, some people still can't drink it now 3 weeks later in certain areas, and we had to only drink bottled water. So we've got this really bizarre thing that, to me, I was like, there's universal stuff in this, there's energetics going on here. You know, yeah, so I think the water thing is really interesting and going on in lots of different places in lots of different ways. Really, ultimately, I think is a call for so many things, calling us to about clean water, clean, fresh drinking water, you know, either filtered or something. We're not, you know, the tap water thing. I know it's controversial, but that's my belief. It's, yeah.
I'm going to say it. I would never drink tap water. Distill it or sterilize it or do whatever you need to do, but don't drink tap water.
Absolutely. And I was kind of like, my daughter and I didn't get sick because we haven't drank tap water for years, many years. My son, bless him, got it through contracting it from a friend, you know, not from at home, because it was still able to be passed, you know, through person to person because it was a really bad tummy bug. So yeah, definitely stuff in the water. And yeah, it does reflect in astrology. We can see it there. I think with the Neptune stuff, again, the smoky mirrors, I think it points to much bigger stuff as well. You know, there's consumerism, there's the genders, you know, all of the things that are whole rabbit holes. But yeah, there's a lot going on. And I think, again, like we said right at the beginning, you know, this process of restructuring our systems is coming into it, a process of truths, looking at how we're governed, how and another thing we've got going on actually that's quite interesting is a renewal of faith in, and again, in where we've placed our power. That is all up for renewal. And I've done videos about this on my YouTube stuff for a while, because it's just all up for renewal. Where we place our faith, values, you know, the power that we've given away oftentimes, and that's coming, ultimately it's a process now of it coming back to ourselves.
That actually aligns with what I was saying earlier, though, about the delusion and the masks, if you think about it, because if you've placed value in money, you're going to be lured to do things to satisfy that, even though it might not be the right thing to be doing. That's really interesting, actually. I like that a lot. Yeah, and that resonates with me deeply, renewing the faith. It resonates with me so deeply. Wow, love it.
Yeah, because we can think, you know, and over, you know, thousands of years where we've had a lot of conditioning to do for others, to sacrifice the self, you know, there's been a lot of that in patriarchy and religion. And, you know, again, not getting into controversial stuff, but there's been a lot of conditioning about placing our power, placing our values, placing our care outside of ourselves. So lo and behold, no wonder we're now learning to self-care and bring it back. And that doesn't cut anyone off. I think we've been very conditioned about being selfish, but actually it's selfless, because any work we do on ourselves is going to ripple out to the whole collective. So yeah,
and that's why they've wanted us to be selfish, you know, and not do this stuff, you know, because it is actually selfish to not share this vibration with other people, right? It's so inverted, the whole bloody world. The illusion's crashing, ladies and gents. Thank the Lord.
Yay.
And we are stepping forward. Thank God the planets are working with us. Thank goodness the energies are aligning. And thank goodness we've got you here in this now moment, Stella Grace, to share your beautiful wisdom and, you know, just heighten the vibration on these gorgeous videos with me. So thank you so much for being here, babe. Honestly, it's so good to see you as always. And definitely, I know we said this last time and we didn't, but we should definitely do this once a month, whether it's the monthly, whether it's the full moon, the new moon, whatever, it doesn't matter. We should just pick one and run with it, because I think everybody's going to love this video today. So thank you for being back with me, my girl. And I look forward to us getting together again soon. And ladies and gents, if you've got any questions, do pop them in the comments below, and Stella and I will both come back on and check those. Likewise, go check out the description field if you want to know how to find me, how to find Stella, and anything else that's going on that we think might be useful. We'll put in the description fields for you guys, okay? Any parting words before we go, my gorgeous girl?
Just enjoy these beautiful high vibration energies this week. Have faith that it is all restructuring in the right direction as well beyond that. So any tough times, they are serving us to be on the up. Riding that wave.
That cosmic surfboard, you know, just ride it. That's what we've got to do.
Absolutely.
Ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. Stella and I will be back very soon with you, and we will speak to you guys super soon. Lots of love. Ciao, ciao for now. Bye. Bye.